Welcome to Grounding Connection, where we are renaturing in relationship with climate change. This series demonstrates a different way to interact with our fear, anger, hopelessness, and helplessness around climate change or collapse, or sixth extinction event, however you label it. I'm Betsy Kudlinski. I'm a freedom guide, like a nature guide, but the nature we're exploring is our own, as someone living with trauma, stress, and overwhelm. We work our way towards personal freedom. With our nervous system's interest and safety in mind, I guide us to trust our true nature and feel the freedom to walk our own paths in life. With training in somatic experiencing and life coaching, over 3 decades of working professionally with animals, and more than 20 years of interest in climate change, this project is an attempt at making a human impact. I'm representing only me in my work, which is how I use my knowledge and skills in relationship and community with human and non human animals. I'm not portraying SE or even life coaching here. I fully acknowledge that I wouldn't be here doing this without the knowledgeable people in my social lineage. Also, the radiant humans with whom I couldn't record this series are volunteers, some of whom I've worked with in the past and some I've never met before. Everything beyond the first couple of minutes you'll see and hear is spontaneous. It's how I work, and I won't change it, even for YouTube. I'm deeply grateful both for these humans and for any and all humans who watch these episodes. If this episode is interesting or helpful to you, let me know. We all have to deal with YouTube's algorithms, so comment, like, subscribe, tell a friend. If it means a whole lot, I'd be delighted if you bought me a coffee. The link is in the description. Now, this episode is with Jason. His initial issue is with the state of the oceans and whales. Another thing we talk about is sliding down the media rabbit hole and how activating that is. You might notice that I let Jason get more activated than I did Amanda. I felt more comfortable doing this because I've worked with him one-on-one for a few months. Just a note that there is some adult language in this episode. Without further ado, hi Jason.
Hey,
How you feeling right now?
it's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Felt like I had a release earlier, but then kind of talking about climate change again gives me that feeling in my chest.
Yeah, that feeling in your chest. Do you want to describe that feeling in your chest?
Yeah, it starts right here and it just tightens up.
Yeah,
Kind of,
yeah,
it makes all my organs feel heavier. My heart
yeah,
kind of feels some pain. I
yeah,
feel like nausea. It's
yeah,
it's a sick feeling.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I could get all metaphorical and say that you're sharing the sick.
Yeah,
Um, so we just talked about something that's been you were just reading about climate, the stuff going on with the climate. Do you want to tell me about it again?
Yeah, I was reading an email from a good friend, and he was talking about how we're down to 1% of the whale population that we used to have in the ocean. And I never really knew how important whales were to the ecosystem and how important they are to the ocean's health. And
Mm.
I mean, if you look at the data, it gets worse and worse every year. And I just feel this horrible tension that something really bad is going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And are you feeling that tension right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of see it on your face, but can you describe it? Is it the same tension that was here, or is it more elsewhere?
The more I talk about it, it kind of spreads to my face, and it almost feels like my face muscles start twitching, just like my whole body kind of gets out of whack.
Yeah. And so we've worked together a little bit. Is it okay to feel the tension in your face muscles and the little twitching in your face and the rest of your body?
Yeah, I think it's okay to feel it, and maybe just try not to like tunnel vision on it, but it
Yeah, good
happens,
idea. Yeah. So just being with it, but not only doing that.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And so while you're with that tension around the plight of the oceans, the plight as if it's, not paused, right? Whew, look what just happened, right?
Yeah, it's been happening for a long time.
It has been happening for a long time. But what's going on with the oceans and specifically today, the whales? Um, is there any part of you that actually feels okay?
Like about this topic, or just like in life, like general.
In this moment, is there any physical part of you that feels okay?
Yeah, my feet are flat on the carpet, and it's grounding.
Yeah. Do you
That
have
always helps.
anything on your feet?
Just some socks.
Socks. Socks on the carpet, and it looks like your carpet's like a grayish.
It's like beige or tan, maybe. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
kind of
So
short
just
carpet.
yeah, yeah. So just feeling that carpet under your feet and noticing that that's happening at the same time that you're feeling this tension,
Hmm.
right?
And when I focus on my feet, it does echo calmness throughout my limbs and my body.
Yeah.
So it's nicer to think about the carpet than the whales.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So go ahead. Think about the carpet.
I always try to just picture a connection all the way down to the core of the earth when I do that, and
Yeah.
it helps.
Yeah. Do you feel the warmth of the core of the earth?
Kind of, if I keep my feet in the same spot and that warmth, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's connection.
Yeah. 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 And we're not ignoring, we're not forgetting the whales right now. But that was almost too much, right?
Hmm.
When you said, "Yeah, I can notice it as long as I don't laser focus on it." I can't remember
Tunnel
exactly.
vision, yeah,
Tunnel vision, yeah. As long as I don't tunnel vision in it. That's kind of like a key to me, like, "Okay, don't
yeah,
go too much more."
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so how does all of you feel now?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I I don't know. Sometimes, like even if I just say the word whale, like there's maybe like a little tiny part of me that gets excited, but
yeah,
I'm I'm still feeling my feet and the sensations there, and
yeah,
it's it's important to stay grounded.
yeah, yeah. So because Jason and I have worked together, um, this is where that real partnership comes in. He is aware of where his system is as at the same time that I am, and he's doing a little bit of that work by himself. He's checking in, seeing if whales are still a hot button and noticing that they're less than they were. And then he's going back to his feet. And so this is the kind of stuff that that I've been doing with him for months. And so he's picking it up. I don't, I don't ever give people homework, but I always find that they end up coming back to me and talking about using this or that, or talking about what they did. And so he's just doing that right now organically all by himself. And it's really helpful for him. And so as you continue to feel your feet, I'm wondering if it's okay if we bring the subject up again just a little bit more.
It is.
So your friend sent you this, and then you read an article, or you read part of an article, or you read a bunch of stuff. What happened there?
I kind of have a tendency to read a lot of stuff. So
The rabbit hole.
yeah, the rabbit hole, it happens fast.
Yeah, it does happen fast. It does.
Hmm.
Do you read fast as well?
I do everything way too fast. It's exhausting.
Look at you sitting here quietly.
With your help.
Are your feet in the same position? Can you still feel the warmth?
I can, yeah, and it's really helping me a lot since we initially talked about it. I did just kind of have the urge to burst out crying, but I feel like it's a little easier to talk about it now that I'm just staying grounded with my feet. And
Yeah.
if it's ever too much, whatever it is in my brain, I just go back to my feet, and that kind of echoes through the rest of my body.
Yeah. Yeah. and just noticing when it's too much so you can go back to your feet. That's really
Hmm.
skillful, Jason. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Not that tears are bad, but we're trying to like get through and do some stuff. And tears
Yeah,
can be really helpful for that if that's what happens.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So, down this rabbit hole, how come you kept going? What was it that kept you going?
It's almost an addiction. It's something I've tried really hard to stop. I've tried deleting the apps. I've tried picking up a book instead, and
Yeah.
sometimes I can go days without looking at this shit. But I don't. I feel like a spiritual obligation to be aware of what's going on, and
Yeah.
but I
Is
also know it's not my responsibility to carry all this weight because it's
yeah.
not my fault.
Yeah. It's not your fault. But you have I'm curious about this kind of spiritual obligation. That is an amazing way to put it. And I'm curious what that's like for you.
Sometimes it feels like I'm cursed.
Yeah.
I just can't ignore
Yeah.
things. I can't ignore reality. It's just I don't know. I'm jealous of the people who can just ignore it all and just go on consuming and enjoying like nothing's happening.
This is something that I have found to be a real common thread when talking about climate change is the idea of how nice it would be to be able to ignore it. It's too much too big, which is of course something that I say all the time around it. Um, and what Jason's talking about right here about needing to pay attention to it and needing to read all the things and have all of the information, whether it's because other people don't or because you feel like you must, or he used the word addiction in there, this drive to um I don't know, it could be a nervous system drive to like shoot into overwhelm, because being overwhelmed or being frozen is more comfortable than being stuck here in this huge amount of activation that frankly we can't do a whole lot about. So yeah. So this common thread, I probably won't point it out in every single session, but it's definitely there. A lot of us feel it. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think they manage to just not pay attention and go on consuming and pretending nothing's going on? How do you think they manage that?
Sometimes I view it as a weakness, but I don't know if that's actually the case. I think it's
Mm,
just human nature, denialism. It's a self protection mechanism that we've had since humans were in existence. And I don't know why I care so much or why I can't just ignore reality.
yeah.
I
So
don't think
maybe
I'll
it's a
ever be able
self
to fully.
protection for them.
Yeah, it is. It seems selfish, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem to help anything because it's really not helping them at all. I
No.
mean, maybe they can get by and do the day to day things for now, but I mean, it's catching up fast, and
Yeah.
I know I know because of all the work I've done. It's going to benefit me a lot, and I have gotten better, but that rabbit hole is always there. Huh?
It is. Yeah. It's unlikely to change in our lifetimes.
No, we have so much information available.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine like our parents growing up had just newspapers? Maybe the news channels, like 3 of them?
Yeah, in the 60s and 70s, and
Yeah. Yeah, there's this like I don't think they felt like they didn't know enough.
See, and I also don't know what to think about that because, like, there was a lot of hippies and stuff back then, and there was a lot of people trying to fight the good fight, and like
Mhm.
people have always known the truth, but we get treated as black sheep, and we get treated as
Mhm.
crazy, and it hurts.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's always been that way. I think there's always been some fewer people who are aware and who try to better themselves in the world, but the conditioning and the programming of the
Yeah.
population is so strong. It's just so strong. That's why, like, it's not my responsibility to fix this because it's just,
Yeah. As I'm watching this right now, sorry, Jason, as you're watching, I didn't mean to pause it right there, but um, I'm struck in watching Jason's system, us talking back and forth. He is less activated now in this session than he was 5 minutes ago when we first started talking about going down the rabbit hole. So we have come a little bit out of his system and a little bit more into intellectual, but also social connection. And so this is part of the power of doing this in relationship. Um, if you're only talking to yourself, if you're only sitting on the computer with yourself, it's easy to make it be you against the world. And when if it's even just one person with you validating your experience, I'm imagining that that's one of the reasons that Jason's not quite as activated as he was. Yeah,
that programming has been in place for hundreds of years.
yeah. I'm curious where that programming shows up in you because we are black sheep, you know about this, about not being able to ignore climate change, collapse, all the things, right?
Hmm.
But I know that there's places where I still, you know buy in to culture, the current system.
Yeah,
I'm
I
wondering if
think
there's places for you.
I do think I'm a hypocrite. I think I still consume way too much, um, all sorts of things, and I do it because it's easy and
Yeah,
because I feel like I have nothing left to give sometimes. And I mean, I'm stuck in this.
yeah,
I can't hop on a spaceship and go to a different planet. Like,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is this is what I have to do to survive right now,
yeah,
and it's tough. It's complicated. It's not a simple problem.
yeah, yeah. It's not a simple problem. Those self-protection mechanisms, right? I'm gonna buy stuff from Amazon. It's gonna come in plastic.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
that's
have
that's
to,
me.
right? I've
And
I've been saying for a little bit hashtag life goals. Not buy from Amazon. Only buy local or from small businesses.
it's and I've tried it so many times, and like my mental health has been so poor these past few years, and I struggle with severe ADHD. And sometimes I go to the store, and it just, like, it's so hard for me, and I try to find things, and like even this. I think it was a couple weeks ago. I tried to just go shopping on the weekend instead of just order on Amazon, and I couldn't find anything that I needed at like three different
Yeah.
stores. And like by the end of that, I was just ready to cry. I get so upset when I'm
Mhm.
out and about and just trying to live my life, and it feels like it's so complicated and just set up for us to just consume the easy way. And that's why Amazon's taken over, because they know we're overworked, we're exhausted,
Mhm.
and I get the urge to just run away sometimes and just like maybe I could go start a homestead and grow my own food. I'm trying to grow my own mushrooms right now. I'm trying to eat less meat. I'm
Mhm.
doing these really small things that I'm trying, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel like enough.
Where would you run away to?
Somewhere where I could just like have a house and a yard and like not be crammed in a one bedroom situation,
Yeah.
and
What kind of homestead would you have? What would you have on your homestead?
definitely some animals like some chickens and
Mhm.
some goats. And I feel like maybe beef, it'd be sustainable to have one or two cows if like that's all you consume, and you
Mhm.
let them. graze on the grass and you take care of your land. And, you know, I believe as humans, we were put here to have a sacred relationship with nature. And we
Mm-hmm.
weren't meant to just take advantage and take.
Yeah. Yeah. And just notice that all coming up, right? And notice when it came up. You were able to keep it down when you were talking about all the bad stuff and just imagining bringing it up.
When I say the word take, it makes me so angry. I think I have
Yeah.
angry tears right now because of all the death. And
Yeah.
it's like our country was built on rape and theft, and
Yeah.
we kill other humans,
Yeah.
and they justify it. And you can't talk to people about this because people just
Hmm.
don't want to hear it.
No. So the idea with one of the ideas with the homestead is to really have a connection with the food that you're growing, whether you're raising or growing, and with the wilderness or whatever around you,
Hmm.
with the land around you. Can you imagine what that would be like to have that connection?
It's hard to put into words.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
natural.
How can you
And
tell?
that just brings up mixed feelings for me because it feels so out of reach right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like it's
So,
beautiful and I feel nice, but I also
yeah.
like all that old frustration comes up. Just like I can't
Yeah.
do it right now, you know.
Yeah. So what about you've told me about like go notice how hard it is. Jason got really activated. So it's really hard for him to choose to settle his system. So we're just working on settling his system now and just keep watching, going out into nature and taking a walk.
Hmm.
And can you feel some of that connection when you're out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
feel I feel so much better when I'm just around the trees
Yeah.
and in the waterways, just all of that. And it's like it's a little tease. It's like
Yeah.
this is what I'm supposed to feel like all the time.
And
And then
at
I
that
come back
same
into my office.
time, can you just like linger there for a minute? Like
Hmm.
just savor the feeling of being out there with the trees and the waterways and really being there with them for however long you're there. Just really feel it.
It's a lot easier to breathe when I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. And notice it being easier to breathe. And what else?
I feel lighter.
Hmm. Does all of you feel lighter?
Like it's crazy how my whole body it's like a couple pounds just fall off when you can really sit in that place.
Yeah. Yeah. So just taking the time you need right now. Doesn't matter where you are. Right now, you can take some time feeling connected like you do when you're out in the forest.
There's that love again.
Yeah. Yeah. And does it have a focus?
What do you mean, like in my body?
Mhm.
Yeah, the love always starts in my chest, in my upper chest, just a little above where the stress usually starts.
Mhm.
And I can feel it spread up into my head. My cheeks kind of get a little more relaxed.
Yeah. And just noticing that your cheeks are a little bit more relaxed and how tense your face was earlier.
Hmm.
Notice the difference.
And then it spreads back down into my stomach, and my stomach feels like less nauseous, more
Ah, yeah.
less sick.
Less sick. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably gonna do that after this call.
Go out.
Yeah, go
Good.
sit in the trees, go through the woods.
Yeah. 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 And are your feet still on the floor now, Jason?
They are. They got a little cold, I think, as my nervous system went up and down. But when I
Yeah.
focus back on them, it's like I can generate some warmth and reestablish the connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always nice when it starts in the feet and comes up the legs, that
Yeah.
relaxation.
Yeah. And when you're here in connection, in relaxation, in love, are you, when you look at these problems, the whales, the consumption, how is it now? You don't have to look too hard.
It just my heart kind of flutters a little bit.
Yeah.
It's definitely a muscle being able to bounce in between focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I focus back on my breath, it's just a little more manageable. You have to
Yeah.
connect all the dots.
Yeah. And you did say that you are doing what you can, eating a little less meat, trying to recycle where you can. What are the other things that you're doing from your place right now where you are?
A lot of prayer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done I've done some of the activism stuff. I've called my legislators, but I honestly gave up on that because it just felt so futile.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. Maybe right now I've just got a lot of focus on healing myself so that I can spread
Yeah.
more good.
Yeah. What do you envision that looking like? Spreading good because you've healed yourself or you're working on healing yourself.
Not getting so activated when I'm out and about in society and having more compassion for all the people in denial,
Yeah. Yeah.
less less conflict.
I've watched enough of the videos of me doing sessions like this that I'm used to how many times I say yeah. It occurs to me that those watching may not be used to how many times I say yeah. Um, Especially because I work virtually. I need a tether. I need a way for people to know I'm there, feel that I'm there. Often, as I work with people, I start to say yeah less. And I think that for the most part, just as I don't notice myself saying it, I think that they don't. And perhaps if you continue to watch these videos, you will stop noticing me saying it. But um, that verbal tether, that social connection that I was talking about earlier is just so important. Inner or external conflict?
I think both, huh?
Yeah.
I'm doing work with someone else, and I mean, she pointed out maybe I don't have enough compassion for myself, and maybe that's why I'm being so hard on other people.
Hmm.
So you have to start inside before you can do anything out there.
Yeah.
And I'm also thinking about switching careers. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about maybe becoming a wildland firefighter so I can be out where I love and protect it and do something that I feels like matters because I am stuck in corporate America right now. But I'm like
Yeah.
over the weekend, I applied to 3 other jobs. So
Yeah. So when you're in this state where you just were, and I don't know, you might still feel that way with that connection
mhm,
and the relaxation and the love, right? And
I'm
then
still there.
you, yeah, yeah. And that doesn't mean that you aren't frustrated with being in corporate America, or um, struggling to feel compassion for those in denial. And yet you you just talked about a bunch of stuff that you're doing or thinking about doing or trying to do, and you're
Hmm.
being more proactive.
True.
Yeah.
I just wish I could stay in this place.
Yeah. But you know that you can come back to it.
I can.
Yeah.
The carpet's always there, huh?
Unless it's hardwood.
Unless it's hardwood, yeah. Preferably earth with no shoes on, but
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to smile right now than it was when we started.
Yeah. Yeah. Just feeling that, savoring that. Because I let Jason get as activated as I did, it's really important for us to be giving him plenty of time, really drawing out the time for his system to settle and stay settled and get more settled. And so that's what these big gaps are, where he's where we're communing with nature and the floor.
It almost changes like how the colors look outside. Like
Yeah. From this place here, if you don't mind,
it's okay.
tell me what it's like. You called it an addiction, to go down those rabbit holes and read about all the horrible things that are happening and are likely to happen.
I think like you were talking about all those brain chemicals. I don't know.
Mm.
And I don't know. I do also struggle with depression a bit, and I don't know. Maybe I just like to feel something. I sometimes it feels like my brain is hungry for information,
Mhm.
and I have to feed it because otherwise, I mean, I'm just like, and I
Yeah,
have to do something. But it's much better when I feed my brain with the right books and things like that, and
yeah,
I have to just really moderate it all. And I don't know. I've become aware of like all these different addictions that I have. It's not just information. It used to be drugs. I mean, it's just always something.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
so many things that you can cling on to and attach to.
yeah.
Think maybe even sometimes it's more comfortable, or at least it seems more comfortable for me to go into the rabbit hole than to just stop and look within. Maybe I don't
Maybe
know.
familiar?
Yeah, familiar.
Yeah.
It can be a pattern for sure.
Yeah, it's been your coping strategy for a long time, right? To keep yourself
Yeah,
going. It's hard to stop.
it is. Especially alone. It's much
Yeah,
easier. Like with you and finding community, it's kind
exactly.
of slows down that cogwheel.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to that, we're social creatures. We
Mm-hmm.
are animals, and we're not meant to be alone.
Mm-mm.
And so we need to we need to do this together. All of
Mm-hmm.
this, whether it's just plodding through life or dancing through life,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's making a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's kind of one of the reasons I'm doing this. I was Do you know the band Disturbed's version of The Sound of Silence?
Yeah, I do actually.
I went down my own rabbit hole a couple weeks ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've known the song was out there. I've loved that song since like 2 years after like it came out in 2016 or something like that. And I found out about it before the pandemic, so I've loved it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. But I went down this rabbit hole of YouTube videos with like voice coaches and like composers and stuff, watching it or listening to it for the first time and their reactions. And I mean, that's an incredibly moving piece, right?
Mhm.
So every single one of them like goes through the range of emotions, and most of them have tears at some point. And
Mhm.
I've realized, like, I stopped myself. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, they're all saying the same thing. Why am I
Yeah.
doing this? And I was like, oh, we crave validation.
Mhm.
We heal together in,
Mhm.
connection. And so even though it's just on a YouTube video, like I get to
Mhm.
feel the emotions and I'm seeing them on this person's face. And then I
Mhm.
get to mirror it in my body. And I was just thinking how primal it was to do that.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I wonder if we could heal together like that.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so
Music
too.
is powerful.
Hmm. But I wonder if people watching stuff like this, specifically about climate change and taking it a little piece at a time
Mhm.
and then backing off and then taking it a little
Yeah.
piece at a time and then backing off. Like, I wonder if we can all just get a little bit of ease.
Mhm. It would feel good to just take it in small doses
Yeah.
and learn from each other.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I know I feel stuck until I connect with other people. So definitely
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Yeah. And just checking in. How
Hmm.
you doing right now?
Much better than before we started.
Awesome. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when you flick your attention over to the appalling stuff, right? The whales and the plastic and the
Hmm.
uh, take.
I don't know. Even when you just said those words, my body felt way more calm than it was at the beginning. I was
Wow.
ready to burst with it before
Yeah.
we started talking.
Yeah. Wow.
It's pretty powerful work that we do together.
Yeah. It is. It's crazy good.
It's been a long time coming for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here.
I just
Same
like
here.
in the other therapies that I've done, I don't know, we've never practiced anything like this where you're actually listening to the body and figuring out what works and like actively regulating in a session. Like sometimes I've had therapy appointments where I just feel horrible after and it's not fun. You talk about things and then the brain runs, but
Yeah.
we all need to come back into our bodies.
Yeah. We do. We do. And I'm glad that you have found yours again.
Yeah, thank you. Me too.
Yeah. If you were moved by this episode in any way, take a minute. If you have the freedom, don't jump into the next thing. We absorb the goodness of our feelings after the fact, so pause if you can. Don't forget to do the things that every YouTuber tells you to do. I'd love for this series to reach the people it will impact the most. If you can't do that, people will never find it. Take care of yourself.